Hello, beautiful angels. Happy Galactic New Year today, after a day out of time, which we had yesterday. This is a big, amazing gathering here that actually took place last night. So if you are here on this call today, we were together last night. This gathering that we are now here doing together in this physical reality actually took place last night. And every single one of us was present. And we actually were in kind of like a divine classroom, I would call it. And who joined us last night as well was Patricia Cota Robles. She was in the classroom with us, at least that was my perception. And together we received these incredible teachings of the divine self. So truly, I was like all night long, I was thinking, that's incredible. We are receiving the knowledge the day before. And maybe, it's not conscious for us, but it already happened. So here we are repeating. So amazing. So, as always, for me, it's an incredible honor to be here with you. I know it means a lot to come together in this world, to actually trust each other, to be here to do this work, and to trust that this path leads somewhere and that it is delivered with complete selflessness, which always is the intention here. Today, our purpose is to start something new. So yesterday was a day out of time, and I don't really follow the galactic calendar myself, but I follow the galactic energies. And so I shared in our circle, I made a post. When you in the morning go through a certain process, which we will do here today, at least some of it, you open the channels of perception. And these are not the channels to use to channel some beings. These are channels in your own being that go from the divine self through your soul into your mental body, into your emotional body, into your etheric body, which is your aura, and then into your physical body. So all of that is you. That is the complete you. Now, for most people, I would say in this world, as you can imagine, they live within the physical body without the awareness of all the other bodies, let alone with open channels to the divine self. Our goal is to always have channels open all the way to the divine self, and it is not done mentally. Mental field is just one body that we have. For this to work fully and completely as a structure, it's like a machine that needs to work well. And so for that to work well, we use energy work. And energy work in a very specific way. We open the channels through breath. We open the channels through movement. We open the channels through sound. And then we go into meditation. Meditation is really very, very, I would say, powerful when these channels are open. And it is also the only way then to receive the knowledge from your divine self, the knowing and the knowledge, the knowing of what is happening within cosmos, the knowing of what's happening in this galaxy, the knowing of what's happening on this planet. It comes to you not through some kind of thinking, because thinking has to cease. Thinking is a disturbance between us and the divine self. So when we can then go into meditation, when we've prepared not only the physical, but the non-physical, of course, then our meditation is about receiving through the divine self, the knowing. And the knowing is always complete. It doesn't come in fragments. The knowing of the divine self is so complete that here at this level of our person, we would call it inspiration. And of course, the divine self is our spirit self. And so we correctly call it inspiration, which means spirit is in me. So when spirit is within us, we have completed really our purpose. That means we let go of the illusion, which the song was about, from illusion to truth. The truth is within the spirit divine self I am. The real self that exists eternally is only our spirit self that we have many different names for, and it's good to name them all so that we know with clarity what we speak about. The I am is the divine self. The God self, the source self, our true self, the self with a capital S, That is the divine self. The divine self is the origin of our being. And so when we open up these channels, which we will do here together, at least partially, for every single one of us, this might be a different process, but I found what works really well. And that, you would find in many different traditions, of course, whether you look at the Hindu traditions, Taoism, whether you look at Tibetan Buddhism, and maybe even, of course, our traditions around the world that I'm not aware of. But even things like when you look at what I found, like in Africa, when you have those tribes that like hop, I think that's, they jump up and down. The jumping up and down is also opening of these channels. So there are so many different techniques. So yeah, the Maasai, thank you, Isabel. So that also opens up the channels. In Taoism, for example, if you do Qigong, there is one fantastic practice for opening up the channels, of course, and that is really shaking, so just a very simple practice of shaking. And shaking in a way that you are stepping into your heels and creating vibration in your body. So it's very similar to the jumping. So once we open these channels, which I would say is really beneficial beyond what we can even imagine, when we opening up these channels and then go into meditation, then we know what calendar or not calendar, what energies are really moving here, not defined by some calendars, but actually streaming through us. And so our purpose here today for this, I would call it a retreat because it will be a little longer than usual, probably do about 90 minutes. We'll go through these different practices so that we all can achieve that most important connection with the divine self. And so yesterday, after opening all the channels, it was very clear that we are in this pause. And in this pause, there was an invitation, which of course is how astrology used to work, right? Because astrology was not invented by human beings, there where they would say, oh, like this planet means this. It was originally someone who had open channels and could perceive the influences that were streaming into our consciousness through certain planetary bodies or stars. And so now we are in a new world. The old astrology also doesn't work anymore. Some aspects work, some don't. But the best thing we can always do is open our own channels. Again, movement, sound, breath, meditation, and then receive the signature of the day. And the signature of the day yesterday was definitely a pause for completion, a pause for ending. And again, these days, I don't think we even have dreams anymore the way we used to because we are no longer in samsara. We are no longer in the false matrix. So our experiences at night could be that we actually consciously participate in what is really happening. And so it was truly a day and a night of simply saying no to everything we do not wish to continue and bring with us into this new beginning, which is here now. And so our purpose here today will be to move with the energies. I wanted to share an experience that I had yesterday as I was, doing really everything that the divine self was inviting me to do, including a surprise phone call from someone I haven't met actually in person. And this young man shared with me that he met Divine Mother. And this was very powerful for what he shared. He said when he saw her, she was like the most beautiful, divine, feminine being he could have imagined. And his first reaction was, I want to be like you. And she responded to him and she smiled and replied, you do not need to be like me. You are me. And to me, this is again, like when we walk through the day, when we move through the day, to have these certain things that we remember. We are Divine Mother. We are one with her. And she is the mirror. The God is a mirror for us. And so what is being mirrored to us is our own consciousness. So today we will cleanse our consciousness. And actually, consciousness to me sounds very pure already. consciousness as the divine self does not to be purified, but it is more the unconsciousness and subconsciousness and also all the energies in our mental and emotional field, and of course even physical and etheric, that need to be purified. And so today will be a day of purification and activation. So we'll go through a process. In this ascension process, you just heard it when we worked with Oren a few days ago, when we had the blessing of being able to work with living our life purpose, where Oren was transmitting to us how we came here, why we came here, and how we were actually created through a stepping down process, through kind of descend. And so in this ascension process, as we descended, so we ascend. The highest level of our being is spirit, and the lowest level of our being became what we would know as matter. Matter is not bad, but the relationship with matter became corrupted, and it became a trap. So now it's a liberation from the wrong relationship. It was not the right relationship. It was attachment, it was desire, it was wanting, it was suffering, it was pain, it was judgment. It was also constant choosing of one side over the other. And that, of course, was a trap of duality. So now we are in the process of transcendence, in which all that is matter ascends back into spirit. I heard someone doing some channeling yesterday on YouTube, and I think he's like a famous guy who does a lot of channeling. And he was saying how Gaia told him she's leaving, and now it's all up to us, that we will be the ones responsible for Gaia. And I wanted to clarify that a little bit, the way that it is. It's not that Gaia is leaving. It's not that suddenly we are in charge of this planet. It is actually that Gaia is ascending. And so it is her moving from density into the light. So she has to go through her own light body activation to become the light being of ascendance. She's moving from the density of matter, almost like a person who is shedding their physical body so that they can expand into their light body. Exactly the same process. So I wouldn't say that Gaia is leaving, but she is moving into her higher expression, just like a person who leaves the body, and she's moving into her light body. So we came here for this incredible event of, as you heard Oren say, expansion of light, an incredible explosion of light. We will be working once again with Oren, and as you know, I recommend every day nourishing your friendship with Oren, if you feel like it, of course. Some people don't feel drawn to the work with Oren, and I feel that it's very, very important we always honor our own heart's calling, because it might be completely unique. If everybody was following the same path, then we would not be following our heart, probably. And so if it is your heart's call to work with Oren, then I know that you have a powerful friend in these very high realms, beyond the soul plane, at the level of actually immortality, at the level of the divine self, who is supporting us with this work. Some of you shared in our circle that you had incredible experiences with the last transmission with Oren. And of course, Oren works through every single one of us when we do these transmissions. So our goal here is to be self-realizing the structure that exists within us. This structure is actually an energetic structure, and it is a structure between the physical and the highest level of our spirit. And in between, we have layers. And these layers are just like ranks on a ladder. And so if we want to climb up, we go step by step. If we want to climb down, we go step by step. And so that's how reliable this is. This is what Yogananda referred to as the scientific method. So this is a scientific method. And what makes it scientific? That it is repeatable, that it is not just random imagination, that it is just like your skeleton is not random. It has bones where they need to be for it to work. So our non-physical structure is exactly the same. And it's so fun to think that all of this we already received last night. So today we are just remembering all that we received last night in our divine celestial classroom. And so today we will be activating this structure. Once again, If you imagine that your spirit self was the luminous sun that you are, or luminous star that you are, as you know, all suns are stars, but not all stars are suns. So whether it is a star or a sun that you are at the level of your spirit, you are pure light. Now, when I started to have these experiences, especially as a teenager, through actually meditating with the Tibetan Book of the Dead, I realized that there is a very powerful relationship, the most fundamental relationship between light and love. I realized through experience that the most powerful beings in cosmos are the most loving beings in cosmos. And that the amount of love that they are able to be also determines how much light and power they are able to emanate. So this is the most fundamental relationship between love and light. So I would say that it is absolutely correct to say that our creation is a love-light creation. So when you look at what love does, love is an opening force. It's an expanding force. It expands us as a human being, as well it expands us as whatever star being, light being. So it's a condition for light to flow through. When a being is disconnected from their love nature, they also are disconnected from the light nature. And that is the explanation for beings that we would call beings of darkness. They are not centered in their love nature. And so love is a condition for the expansion that allows us to then receive and also emanate more light. The beings who have the most expanded love nature in cosmos are the closest one to source, to what we would call God. Not because God has preference, but because of the intensity of electricity that comes from the light of God. So it's really amazing. If I was to draw a diagram of creation in cosmos, then you would find a center as the emanating sun, the source itself, and the beings who are able to be around it directly are the great ones. And what makes them great is their love nature. Because then, through the great love nature, they become very powerful receivers directly, kind of like hand to hand, heart to heart, from source itself. And of course, that would be very powerful force for someone who is not capable of receiving this amount of direct electricity. And that's why this really is how then transmissions happen from the great ones to those who are kind of below that level of intensity, capable of receiving the level of intensity. So then we have the stepping down process that we can call initiation. It is a stepping down process. So the great ones are the beings who are able to really, like in terms of electricity, put their hand into the outlet and nothing happens. But if someone is not yet fully expanded into that love nature, they are not in their full power just yet, but they are evolutionary, which I think is most of us, of course. We are in evolution, in expansion. Then we simply receive from the great ones, or then the great ones transmit to some master beings, and the master beings are the ones who are helping us to become stronger in our love and light beyond the physical embodiment. So ultimately, it's all about love. Without love, one is not open to light. With love, one is open to light. And that's why the traditions that we've had here on this planet always taught about love. And of course, either it was understood or misunderstood, but behind the scene, there is really this mechanism of love light. So the more we are capable of loving and not mentally, not in words, verbally, not only in action. It actually is all about energy. Are we emanating love for no reason from within? And if we need a reason, we can find a reason. And the reason could be devotional, the reason could be adoration, the reason could be. But ideally, we want to be in that love for no reason. So generating it as energy within the heart center, focusing on the heart and generating what we would call love and bliss. It doesn't always work though, because very often the heart of the person in this world, it already is a little bit closed, or it already has a little bit of garbage in the mental and emotional field, in the etheric field. And so we want to discover again that purity of the heart. And once again, I think that all of us got to experience it as children, unburdened state, even though, of course, we also were burdened by conditioning from our past lives or other experiences. And so we are uncovering the unburdened state. The illusion is the burden. So moving beyond illusion is moving into the bridge that connects us with our spirit. We will be once again climbing this incredible ladder, and we will be moving through many of our bodies. I like reminding ourselves or myself, for sharing here the quotes of Yogananda, who was in complete mastery. He was not at all in the illusion of his person. He was always one with his divine self. And so it's good to find these examples, whether they existed in our past, but they still exist within the ethers of the earth, always available to assist us. And the teachings of Orin are very much the same way. And so he taught us that I am a child of God, I have nothing to fear, and that life and death are only different processes of consciousness. The thing is that once we start connecting through energy with the divine self, we also can experience our deathless state, because that's the divine self. The I am is birthless and deathless. Once we connect with the divine self, we tap into bliss. And this bliss is eternally present in the I am. Nothing can define the I am. We can talk about it so much, but there is no definition that will be adequate. The reason for that is that if we can define something, we limit it. But the divine self is completely unlimited. I always, share experiences that I had that allowed this being to actually experience the divine self. And I would say it is what I share here, which is movement, whether it is yoga or qigong or stretching. It is simply opening up the energy, releasing tension from the physical so that the non-physical can flow in, and assisting with sound and breath, and then meditation. And that alone just works so powerfully. So we will start with a beautiful prayer to attune our consciousness to the work that we will do before we go into the movement, before we go into breath and sound and meditation. So again, attuning consciousness.
Divine Mother, may I feel in my heart thy heart throbs, in my happiness thy joy, in my activity thy power of direction, in my soul thy spirit. Divine Mother, I lay all the flowers of my love at thy feet of eternity. Divine Mother, open wide the bud of my devotion, and release thy fragrance, that it may spread from my soul to the souls of others, ever whispering of thee. May I behold my love in the love of others, and in the light of that greater love, may I behold thine unveiled face of peace. May I behold myself in others, and may I ever perceive thee enthroned in our united hearts. In the heart of my whispers, I feel the stir of thy whispers. In the light of my burning love for thee, I behold thy sacred face of silence at last. O Divine Mother, unite our hearts as one heart, that on the sacred altar of united hearts, we may find thine omnipresence enthroned forever. O Divine Mother, unite our hearts as one heart, that on the sacred altar of united hearts, we may find thine omnipresence enthroned forever. O Divine Mother, unite our hearts as one heart, that on the sacred altar of united hearts, we may find thine omnipresence enthroned forever.
And so we will go into our divine movement. So I wanted to speak about divine movement. What is important so that we don't waste our time, of course, especially in the morning. Like, let's say you have a practice that's 20 minutes. And I don't mean 20 minutes of movement. I mean 20 minutes where you activate all your channels. So you will start, of course, with powerful intention as soon as you wake up. And that means while you're still laying in bed, to focus on the divine self. Number one, divine self. Divine self is truly our essence of our being. It is the source of all light and all life that we are. And so we want to focus to the big boss. And then our next thing would be, of course, the body. The body is the receiver of the light and the love and the life of the divine self. So how do I get my receiver ready? So with divine movement, I always say a few minutes of stretching or whatever it is that you do. But the key is to focus on two parts of our body. The first one would be our spine, and spine including our neck and our tailbone, and get the entire spine move into every direction. So that means side to side, bending forward, bending back, and also spiraling, so being able to twist. So the spine definitely needs to enliven with our movement. And then the second part is, of course, our hips. So if the unit of consciousness that we are, our kundalini, is dormant at the base of the spine, then how do I wake up the base of my spine? I do it by stretching the hips. So again, the yogis have several different practices for that. But again, whatever it is that is comfortable for you, think about hip opening. How do you open the hips? And then spine, how do you move the spine in all possible directions, including your neck and your tailbone, so that you have a flow of energy? So, of course, I always recommend a little bit of Qigong with Lee Holden. He's a wonderful teacher. And Lee, as you know, he studied with Mantak Chia, and he was writing his books as well. So he's got a wealth of knowledge. And so it's not just Qigong. There is so much mystical practices within Qigong. It's all about energy mastery. Now, why energy mastery is so important? If we are here, little physical body, going so vastly into the non-physical, and if our highest potential is the divine self, then we need to connect the energy, connect it, make the energy flow. When the energy is connected, one is in one unified field, and we want to be in that unified field, and in a powerful field, not just some weak field, not some deteriorating field. The field is our true power. So there are so many videos on YouTube that you can find with Lee, or you can subscribe to his, whatever courses he has. But again, for example, he called this video 6 minutes for stress relief. The thing is, why are we experiencing stress? Is when we are not in a unified field, when we are really disconnected from, all the energy that our divine self is. So we're going to start with this movement. And as I mentioned, shaking, is a very powerful way to actually activate yourself. And you can really experiment. So let's say you just find some free videos on YouTube with Lee and you do a practice for like 20 minutes and really feel your energy before and feel your consciousness after. We start flowing and suddenly we have inspiration. We are feeling energized. We are feeling optimistic. We might even feel bliss. So we're gonna do these 6 minutes with Lee. So for that, I'm gonna stand up. These are standing exercises. Once again, if you don't want to stand up, try sitting down.
I want to show you a quick and simple routine that will clear stress that is so effective almost immediately. Start with me. Feet are about shoulder width. Even if you have to sit down, that is absolutely fine. And we're going to do some pressure points on the chest that helps to clear emotional stress. First, we're just going to do a little tapping like this. And as we're tapping, I want you to breathe. So the breath is going to be in through the nose, out through the mouth, like this. Good. And just go up and down the sternum. Nice long sigh as you exhale. Up and down on the center of the chest. Releasing any emotional stress, any anxiety, anything, any nervous tension that you feel congestion in this area. Let it release. Good. Bring your hands down to your sides. See if you feel a little energy activation in your body. Tingling, buzzing, a nice opening through the hands. You see, stress constricts energy. We say it causes stagnation. And relaxation opens energy and allows it to flow. See if you feel your energy flowing a little bit better now. That's already better. Let's do another one. This one, we're going to shake. I just want you to shake your arms to the sides like this. Imagine that the stress or tension or tightness is just releasing down to the earth. And like gardening, we're composting old energy to recycle it, to let it go. Just let it go. Same breathing. Let the movement get a little bigger and then bounce into your legs. Pump the arms so the inner part of the wrists are open, the hands bouncing with the movement of the legs, and that long sigh. It's very hard to feel stress and do this at the same time. You're just releasing it. This is why athletes do this before events, because it's a great exercise to clear stress. Really pump the energy of the arms. Get into that deep breathing. Good. One more time. Slow it down, relax, tune in again, see how your energy feels. See if your energy is more activated, it's circulating and flowing within you. Nice buzzing and feeling of lightness, feeling of relaxation. Take a slow breath through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. See if the breath is more free. There's more spaciousness to the breath. Good. Now bend your knees, arms round. This exercise is called Tree Sways in the Wind, and it's for the liver. Now the liver in Chinese medicine has to do with how qi circulates, how we metabolize stress, how we process it through the body. So if the liver energy is calm and clear, we're more balanced and relaxed within us. We're going to turn our body over here to your right side. Take a nice deep breath. Let the hands float all the way up to the top of the head. So my fingers are pointing towards the crown of the head without touching. And then this is like emptying out mental stress and connecting to the earth. And then we're going to turn over here to your left side. Inhale slowly through the nose. Come back to the center. Then exhale slowly through the nose. As you slow down your body, you calm and relax your mind and your emotions. Slow breathing, slow movement, and it just transforms stress into vitality. Good. The slower you go, the better. Inhale. Slow movement, slow breathing will help you to enter into that parasympathetic branch of your nervous system. That is the rest and relaxation branch. Inhale. Center, then exhale, arms out to the sides. Turn. Inhale, float your arms up. Exhale, float the arms out to the sides. Very relaxed movement, slow breathing. It might seem like you're not doing much of anything, but in fact, you're helping to balance your energy system, regulate your nervous system, calm your mind, and relax the whole body. Inhale as we come up. Exhale, arms out to the sides. Turn. Inhale, float the arms up. Center. Exhale, float your arms down. Bring your hands down to your sides. Notice how your body feels. Notice that your stress levels have dropped tremendously.
And so we've activated with breath and with movement. Now, as Lee said, it doesn't seem like we're doing much, but that's because we're doing energy work. You know, there are so many incredible masters of energy, including, of course, Yogananda and what he shared in the autobiography of a yogi. When we become masters of energy, we are able to even appear and disappear. We are able to move through time and space. We are able to do incredible, what we would call magic. We receive these great cities, the gifts, but it's never our goal. Our goal is to be one with the divine self. That's one goal. And so, you know, we were using breath in this technique with Lee, but there is breath that I would recommend doing every day and also in the middle of the night if you are ever awake, and that is breathing through your spine. And that breath is always inhale up. We have an animation that we created, but the animator made it a little too fast. Normally this would be much slower. And so we want to learn to focus. You can always envision this light ball. And this light ball is slowly moving on inhale up. So inhale, we would do it much slower. And this could go either into your third eye or into your crown. Both are equally powerful. And we learn to do this. This is just a little technique that can do so much for us. This can activate our consciousness beyond the body, beyond even the astral, beyond. We can get all the way into the absolute with this technique. So this you would want to do a few minutes a day, in the morning, in the evening, and if you are awake in the middle of the night. So this breath, combined with several other tools. For example, gazing into your third eye while inhaling up and exhaling down. So we're going to do that now. Simply tap onto your third eye. Just tap on it. Make it a little bit tangible to you where the third eye is. And as you are sitting upright or laying down straight with your spine, see if you can gaze up into your third eye. And the more we do this, the more often we do it, we become so comfortable with this gaze that it's so easy for us. Everything is a little bit of practice. It's like learning to drive until we get comfortable to become a good driver. And as soon as we do this, you might start seeing lights. And it just really depends on how often we gaze into the third eye. But that would be my number one focus in the physical body, is gazing into the third eye and learning to relax. And then focusing all our attention beyond the body into the spine, as if all there is is the elevator of our spine. So really just getting good at focus, being able to center our attention in the spine. And we always start at the base of the spine. And so once we are at the base of the spine, we simply can visualize this ball of light and inhale it up. And we're going to do it into the third eye, since that's where we are focusing. And so again, this is very fast animation, but we could do it much slower. I'm just going to switch here. We are really what we are doing. We are plugging into this divine electricity that I spoke about, that the great ones are able to receive from source itself. And so with this inhale up, let's do a very slow inhale up, gazing into the third eye. Again, just inhale. Pause a little bit in the third eye, and then exhale down to the base of your spine. And so this would be opening the channel that is very important, and it's the pillar of light within us. So there are so many different techniques we could do, but I actually plan on doing much more, but I see that we don't have so much time. I don't want you to have to be here for so long, so we're gonna just move to sound. But the other breathing techniques, just so that you see, I would recommend is learning how to do alternate nostril breathing. And the technique we have just done is also known as microcosmic orbit and breathing for energy circulation. It's slightly different from just going up and down the spine, but it's very much the same idea, and it revitalizes the body and the spirit. So then we're going to go into sound before we go into meditation. So you see, once again, it's movement, breath, and sound. That's it. Movement, breath, and sound, and then meditation. And that again will give us the greatest results we have. So, you know, the yogis always said, chant your om, chant your om. When I was a little kid, I could hear the hum. I never would call it om, but it was the hum. And that hum was a unifying sound that permeates creation. And so I remember, I always told the same story, but you've heard it. When I was a little kid and I was going like to kindergarten, daycare, the sound was always audible. And so we do have these inner ears. We can hear these astral sounds. We can hear the sounds of creation when we attune our consciousness. And so that was my first experience in this lifetime with Om, realizing that there is a sound that permeates all of creation and that it unifies it. So it was, I think, around 2020, and it was around spring equinox when Divine Mother once came to me and she showed me the quantum field and the strings of rainbow light in the quantum field. And she said, look what Om can really do. And she sounded an Om. And in that moment, all the strings in the quantum field around me, which is infinite, of course, we are one with the quantum field, all the strings that were out of alignment suddenly aligned and they were repaired. So since that day, so it's been 5 years now, I every day chant Om for that reason. Every Om is so powerful that it does repair reality. So whether it is your personal goal to repair your own reality or just reality as a whole, Om repairs reality. And so we're going to do 3 Oms. I put on YouTube, you have a lot of Oms with Yogananda, and I'm just recorded myself doing Om as well. So we're going to do 3 Oms here. So as you I also recommend gazing into your third eye. I would actually recommend gazing into your third eye all the time when you meditate. Any breathing technique you do, anything you do in terms of your connection with the divine self, gaze into the third eye. There is so much that we can focus on within our being, but when we focus in a relaxed way to gaze into the third eye, it also, of course, eventually gives us clairvoyance. So our process here is very simple. These days, because we don't have the veil of illusion and we don't have samsara anymore, we don't have the wheel of karma, this is such a fantastic time to be every day seeking alignment with the divine self, and it is not difficult. It requires our alignment through the spine, and again, it works whether you laying down straight on your back or you sitting upright. And so when we attune to the divine self, we also receive divine will. Everything comes to us as knowing through these open channels and through, of course, our attunement with the light of the divine self, which then travels through this channel of light, the ladder, the spine, the chimney, whatever it is. And then we are inspired to move in certain way. And I mean move in this world, do things, not do things, say things, not say things, and so on. So today we will dedicate to transmutation. As you know, we have several bodies. So here we have the light of the divine self as the luminous star that we are, and how it descended, how we got created. So we of course have a soul body, which is something that is missing here, but that's okay. We also have the mental body and the emotional body, and then our etheric body, and then our physical body. So the highest level is obvious. It is the spirit. And this really is spirit beyond the soul. So here when we do our sharing here, we always make distinction between the soul body and the spirit body. But these days we are focusing on the divine self, the spirit body, the I am. It's because it's available to us right now. So for that, we know that as a person, we often have a lot of illusion. And the illusion is misunderstanding. And it is the misunderstanding of who we are or who we are not. And that then lives as an illusion within the mental body. We also have a lot of illusion in the emotional body, our feeling nature. And so to be able to transcend illusion, one has to transcend all the way into the divine self and then view your experience, your life, yourself, and others as the divine self, from the divine self perspective. At the level of the divine self, the body also completely ceases to exist. The body no longer is a center of identity. The divine self does not identify with the body. The divine self does not even identify with the mental body. The divine self does not identify with the emotional body. The divine self is always in a complete state of perfection without any action. The action is always here within. Or also, our soul can be experiencing action as a dream reality. So if we want to go into the absolute of our own being, we want to be one with the divine self. This divine self also is in all other human beings, all source beings, all beings who were created from the divine self have the same divine self. So I think when, in yoga, when you say namaste, I greet the light within you, I see the light within you, I bow to the light within you. It's not that light at the personality level. It is the light of the divine self which unites us all. So we are united in the divine self. So let's say that we have a lot of clutter, which I think could be for all of us the case, of course, from the illusion that we just came from, but it lives within our emotional body. It lives within our mental body. It lives within our body. Illusion lives at these three levels of our being, including our etheric body, of course. So in the Ascension process, it is a transmutation of the physical, etheric, emotional, and mental, so that we can then integrate our soul and then even integrate the soul into the divine self. So we are basically, as we descended, so we ascend. This is why it's scientific. We are following a pathway. So today our meditation will be with Orin. It will be a transmission which is available online on orindaben.com. It is a transmuting violet flame. And in this transmuting flame, it will be more powerful than ever before. And this transmuting flame today will do just that. It will transmute any illusion in any of our earthly bodies, which of course includes emotional and mental. When we are stuck in the mental body, we view everything as separate. We view other people as someone we like or don't like. We view them as their faces. We view them as their bodies. We view them as their names. When we transcend all of that, we are able to truly view everyone as the light of the divine self. And that is not from the mental body. So it cannot be a mental decision that we suddenly say, oh, I see the light of God in everyone. That's a nice intention. But at the level of the divine self, it becomes our reality. The body ceases to determine our experience of another person. We no longer view them as the personality self. We are able to see the light of God within all. So this is why we do what we do. So that's what we're going to do here now. We are going to be working with the sacred transmuting flame, and our goal is clear. Since today is the new, the energy is new, and it is new because of the alignment of our galaxy in this universe with our planet. And so today we have new opportunity, new beginning. And for that new beginning, we clear and clean. And we never expect the same result as we had last time. We always know that every time we do this purification, we are stepping into a new level of oneness with our divine self, so that it is true that I and my divine self are one, and that I am my I am presence. And so I'll pause the recording. So let us affirm the truth of our true being, which is I am that I am. I am. I am one with my divine self. I am my I am presence. And so this is a powerful cleanse, and you see we took it top down. This is the approach of the divine self. Go to the big boss, the divine self I am, and allow that light with the transmuting violet flame to first remove all illusions in the mental body, then emotional body, then the etheric body, which affects the physical. And so today, I think it was close to 700 of us here doing this work. And to me, what's really powerful is that at the end, we also, of course, serve our ascending realm and all life here. And so our goal is always to be in touch with the divine self, the I am, and to use the violet flame whenever needed. And whether it is for us personally, but of course, ideally also collectively in service to all life. And so who is the divine self? The divine self is our true self. It is the infinite being. And the divine self is free from all attachments and all desires. It is also beyond all action. The divine self is constant. It is unchanging, and it is indestructible. The divine self is birthless and deathless. And because we say, I am that I am, the divine self always is. It is the self that is the observer of our experience. It is not identified with our mind. It is not identified even with our problems, because it is perfect. The divine self is our own Alpha and Omega because it contains all answers, all solutions are contained within the divine self. The divine self is best known through our direct experience, whether it is doing breath work, movement, combined, of course, with invocations, combined with meditation. Direct experience is what we are hoping to achieve here. Now, how wonderful the divine self is always trying to reach us through its light and to give us the power, the illumination, the love, and the wisdom, so that we can break free from all imprisoning forms, thoughts, feelings, and situations. The divine self is all powerful. And so when we contact our divine self, we gain our divine power. The divine self is our beginning and the end. And that is the self. That is the true self. And so it is. So have a blessed day. And if you wish to repeat, we will be repeating at 5 p.m. Pacific tonight in service to all that is. So thank you so much and many blessings.